Pick up the correct piston for the cylinder you're working on. Make sure that the camshaft side of the piston, which is marked, is on the same side as the numbering on the conrod. Space the piston ring gaps so that they're not in line, or on the thrust side of the piston. Then lubricate piston and rings with engine lubrication oil. Check that the new big end shell is correctly fitted and lubricate it. Turn the crankshaft to top dead center for the cylinder. Then, with the help of a piston ring clamp, push the piston in. Take the big end cap. Inspect it for correct fitting and lubrication. Then fit to the conrod with the numbers on the same side. Tighten to the torque recommended in the workshop manual and repeat the procedure for each cylinder. The oil pump strainer fits in the port furthest away. Make sure that the threads in the oil pump are not damaged. Then tighten to the recommended torque. The oil pressure release valve goes into the nearest port. Again, taking care not to damage the oil pump threads, torque to the correct setting. The crankcase door itself incorporates oil galleries for the lubrication of the bearings and hydraulic tappets. So it is vital that it's tightened in the correct sequence and to the correct torque to avoid distortion and leakage. Now the dipstick can go back, the oil pressure switch and adapter, if fitted, and the solenoid, if fitted. Screw on a genuine Lister-Petter oil filter. Bolt back the fuel lift pump. And the fuel filter. Refit the fuel line and refit the fuel inlet pipes onto the injector pumps. First, replace the seal support washers into the ports on the block, followed by the parallel pushrod tube seals. Then lightly lubricate the pushrod tubes and locate them into the seals. At this stage, turn the engine until the pistons are halfway down the bores. Fit the cylinder head gasket onto the top of the block. It's a dry fit, so no sealant should be used. Push the tapered pushrod tube seals into the ports on the underside of the cylinder head and lubricate. Very carefully refit the overhauled cylinder head, making sure that the pushrod tubes go into their tapered seals without causing damage. Fit new cylinder head bolts. The long bolts, with spacers, go inside the rocker covers for the rocker support pillars. The special bolts are for the lifting eye. For their location, see the workshop manual. Cylinder head bolts are tightened in 3 stages. In this sequence. Torques are specified in the workshop manual. replace the push rods into the locations they came from. Refit the valve rockers in their original positions. Tighten to the correct torque, checking that the rocker is central to the valve. Now take the special hydraulic tappet tool and place it on the rocker. Push down and compress the tappet to make sure that the valves are sealing correctly. Replace the injector sealing washers, with the bevel going into the cylinder head. Then refit the injectors and torque to the correct settings. New rocker cover gaskets should be used. Loosely fit the rocker covers. Refit the fuel injection pipes. Replace the rocker cover retaining bolts, noting that a seal goes between the injector pipe clip and the rocker cover. The bolts are now torqued to the recommended figure. Put a new seal on the water pump outlet pipe. Then refit the water pump. The fan assembly is secured by a left-handed thread nut. Relocate the engine lifting bracket. Finally, using new gaskets, replace both the inlet and exhaust manifolds. The starter motor. Bolt it back in place. Refit the alternator and spacer. Make sure the fan drive belt is accurately aligned with the pulley grooves. The workshop manual gives belt tensioning figures. Lastly, the radiator. Replace the stabilizing bar, then remount the radiator and fit the hoses, tightening all clips. The rebuilt Alpha Series LPWS 3. Simple to work on, easy to maintain.